Hey Cavs Nation and fellow Sabres fans, I am back with my weekly review. The Buffalo Sabres actually had to take a few games off due to COVID. Some speculate it might have been New Jersey's fault, but I digress. We're in a pandemic and we're having a difficult time controlling it. Games did start back up on Monday, February 15th, as the COVID-ridden Sabres would not continue their strong play from Week 2 and Week 3. Since we are doing 2 weeks in review, I will make the game review section a little bit shorter. The whole video in itself will be shorter. I will cut out a section or two, and I'll explain that in the video. Now, I will state that this week in review, Week 4 and 5, were one of the most difficult weeks for me to review. But before we do get into this, go ahead and click the like and subscribe button if you want to follow any of the Cavs Nation media outlets or the social media outlets. Feel free to look in the description below and click on all of them and click follow and like and respond, chat, comment, whatever you would like to do. Let's build this community. Now, let's get through this rough patch of games. It's real rough patch of games. Week 4, Game 1, the Islanders would come to town and Linus Ullmark and our defense would play very well. However, not much to say about this one as the Buffalo Sabres got 1 goal on the power play. Victor Olofsson, we lost faceoffs, sustained 0 pressure, went off the power play, and no even strength goals. Week 4, Game 2, another weak game offensively against a strong defense. Now, we did have a strong defensive performance, subpar goaltending, and still no offense. Kind of the theme. Now, the Islanders over the past 2 games came out and scored against the Buffalo Sabres, a usually strong defensive team that doesn't really have that strong offensively. Kind of tells you where the Buffalo Sabres were those 2 games. But let's move on. The next game, again, trying to make this as quick as possible. Week 4, Game 3, the Buffalo Sabres would take on the Washington Capitals as part of their makeup games due to COVID. Now, another rough game offensively as Victor Olofsson did score the lone goal on the power play, his 6th of the year. However, even strength goals again. Starting to see a theme. Continuation theme. Now, the team would get some good offensive zone time. However, they were not lucky. Now, they would drop the game to the Capitals. Also note, an ex-Sabre would score for the club. Connor Sheary had his 4th of the season, and he scored against the Buffalo Sabres. Week 4, Game 4 would change the fate as the Linus Ullmark show would come to town as he did stand up to the challenge and assisted in a victory. Now, all 3 goals scored by the Sabres were even strength goals. Sam Reinhart scores his 4th and 5th goal, with Miller scoring his 2nd on defense. Now, all in all, the 3rd period could have swung the Devils' way as they scored 2 in an attempt to tie it. But again, Linus Ullmark showing that he might be the starter goaltender for Buffalo for a while. Just saying. Ending abysmal week with a victory. Week 5, Game 1. The Islanders would come to town and lay the Sabres another loss. However, it was a pretty good job by the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo would outplay the Island in the 3rd period. However, Velmroth, apologize if I mispronounced that, would hold them from tying the game. Good effort, great effort, even, but just like this year. They're good, just not good enough. Now, we did see goals from Curtis Lazar. He had his 4th of the season. And we also had goals from Sam Reinhart. He had his 6th. Ullmark probably had his worst game in net. Not blaming the guy. He was bound to have an average game. But Sabres didn't cut it. Week 5, Game 2, the New Jersey Devils would get dealt a firm, crisp spanking. A 4-1 lit up offensive scoreboard brought to you by the Buffalo Sabres offense. Now, many thought this would get us back in the playoff hunts. More on that later. Goals from Olofsson on the power play. Asplund, Cousins, and Eakins. Late empty netter was 1 second from the period closing down. They actually had to go back and review it after the game was shut, dropped the puck down for 1 second. Not sure why they dropped the puck, but they dropped it. No one was out there. Hey, cool. The Sabres had a solid game and just played like they were the better team. Then the rest of the week happened. Week 5, Game 3, the Sabres would be dominant. Now, they have been scoring even strength goals. They were fighting tooth and nail to get this victory. However, they only managed to squeak out 1 point. The worst news of the game was that Linus Ullmark did get injured in the first period. He actually ended up finishing the first period because strong game of performance, maybe. He did finish the first period, but did get sit. Carter Hutton came in the second period. Now we had Sheenan, Middlestat, and Reinhart would score in the game, but some bad plays in the overtime would cost us the game. But that's hockey. That's the Sabre season in a nutshell. Good, played great, dominated, just not good enough. Week 5, Game 4 and 5. I am putting them together. You should see why. Big, fat 3-0 losses to the Philadelphia Flyers. We got shut out for not 90 minutes, for 120 minutes of hockey from 2 different goaltenders. That week, in a nutshell, it was a rough one to watch. They couldn't even buy a goal. Having the number 1 power play going into it, they couldn't even score on 6 power plays. 0 for 6. Rough. However, penalty kill has been good. Again, penalty kill has been great throughout. Some rough patches here and there, but they've been really good. However, no even strength goals. Can't even score on the power play. Does not get the job done. Now, the reason I did put both games together again, due to how similar they are. If you see the stats, very similar. Being outshot, being outplayed, outscored, obviously. Destroyed on the faceoff dot, which is depressing, as I have said in my Week 3 review that was their keys to win. And finishing games with 30%, maybe a little bit higher, let's not get into that. Now, if you did DVR this, don't waste your time. Not worth it. But this weekend for the Sabres was something not to behold, and it was just awful. Players of note, strong gamer section. Linus Ullmark for his grade A performance. He is the best Sabres of note. Sad to see you gone. You'll be out for a month. But get better, feel better, and maybe you'll be out for the rest of the year, because I wouldn't want to lose someone with your talents. Now, he was joined by an additional player. His name is Rasmus Ristolainen. His fight with COVID, from my understanding, was pretty rough, but he did come back when he did start throwing the body around, picking up where he left off. He's having a great year, and seeing him play this well makes me want to say to those people who feel like he should be traded, if we do trade him, we should get a ton back. However, I don't want to lose him, as we don't have a player of his caliber that can fit in his role. We are seeing tons of defensemen coming up in the organization. However, Rasmus Ristolainen has a key role, and he plays very, very well. Moving on to the Rising Stars, sticking with Olofsson on the power play. Sole reason is because he can score anywhere on the power play. I know it's the one section I'm saying anywhere to make it sound good. However, he has got a shot. You know, there's one other player that has a shot like that. That's the grade 8. If only Olofsson would tap into his shots, even strength, we might get some more even strength scoring. However, I'm not comparing him to the grade 8 in reference to how Alexander Ovechkin plays and everything of that nature, because Alexander Ovechkin is a different beast. He is an anomaly. He's probably the best Russian to ever play the game. Maybe top 5 player of all time. However, Olofsson, his shot looks just as good as Alexander Ovechkin's. Now, I did also include another player. Now, Sam Reinhart. I included him because his stock is rising, not because he is a star and should stay up on the top 3 and shouldn't be included on rising players in reference to our roster, but in reference to in the National Hockey League in general. Sam Reinhart's stock is rising and will continue to rise. It's going to be a rough purchase. I'm bringing it up now because I am afraid we're going to lose someone of his talents to another team who can afford him and watch him score goals against us. So Sam Reinhart had a great week, by the way. Great 2 weeks. He had 4 assists, 4 goals, total of 8 points on a team that was struggling. Now, I won't get into the playoffs. I'm going to skip that section as we need to do a few things before we start. We need to string a few wins together before we even become relevant in this playoff race. All I know is that having a player getting paid $9 million being benched spells disaster for the front office. Changes have to be coming. Like something might be coming down the line. Who knows? I'm not going to speculate at this time. Let's move on to this week's schedule. The Buffalo Sabres will be playing New York Rangers at 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 2nd. Thursday, March 4th, New York Islanders at 7 p.m. and Saturday, March 6th, New York Islanders at 1 p.m. Each of those will be aired on MSG Buffalo. Now, NBC will take on Sunday, March 7th game at 12 p.m. against New York Islanders. Let's hope we can string some wins together. I know the New York Islanders have a tough defense, so we may be in for a rough ride. Final takes. Something big is going to happen within the Sabres organization. Either a coaching change or a trade. I'm not one to speculate. I love Ralph Krueger. I really do. I would not like to see him go. However, you can't play like this with this roster and not have some sort of change happen. We have too many players that are getting paid way too much money that are underperforming. Again, not listing any names. I did not list anything about Jeff Skinner, minus the fact that he was benched, because I feel for the guy. I really do. You're getting paid tons of money to play for an organization that you want to play for. He was quoted saying he wants to play with the Buffalo Sabres. That's why he stayed here. Now, the Sabres could change it all by going on a tear next week, winning 4 games in a row, and we're off talking about the playoffs. I'm having a happier weekly review, but let's not hold our breaths too much. However, always show hope, because we bleed blue and gold. Now, until next week, have a great one. Show some kindness, strengthen your community, and as always, stay safe. Please wear a mask. COVID is not over, as we have seen with the Buffalo Sabres dealing with their COVID issues. But let's go Buffalo. Let's get some wins, huh? You guys have a great one.